The human mind does not arrive in the world preloaded with knowledge. It does not come with innate ideas about gods, justice, or mathematics already installed. Instead, the English philosopher John Locke proposed a revolutionary concept. The mind at birth is a tabula rasa, a Latin term for a blank slate. Imagine a completely empty notebook with no words, no lines, and no marks of any kind. This is how Locke envisioned the starting point of human consciousness. Every person, regardless of their family or where they are born, begins with the same empty mental canvas. This idea was a radical departure from the prevailing belief that certain truths were simply born into us, a gift from a higher power or an intrinsic part of our nature. This concept of the blank slate has profound implications for how we view human nature and equality. If we all start from the same neutral position, then the differences we see among people in their beliefs, their skills, and their character are not predetermined by birth. They are not the result of some inherent superiority or inferiority. Instead, these differences must arise from our unique journeys through the world. The environment we grow up in, the education we receive, and the personal encounters we have are what write the stories of our lives onto that initially blank page. This thinking laid the groundwork for a more egalitarian view of humanity, suggesting that potential is universal, even if opportunity is not. Consider two children born on the same day in different parts of the world. One is born into a family of musicians in Vienna, surrounded by classical music from infancy. The other is born into a remote farming community in the Andes, where knowledge of agriculture and local traditions is paramount. According to Locke's theory, neither child is born with an innate understanding of music or farming. The Viennese child learns to recognize a symphony not because it was in their soul, but because their ears were filled with it day after day. The Andean child learns to cultivate quinoa not from an inborn manual, but from watching, listening, and doing. Their minds are molded by the unique sensory data their environments provide. This idea fundamentally challenges the notion of a fixed human nature. If the contents of our minds are supplied by experience, then humanity is incredibly malleable. It suggests that by changing the inputs, by improving education, fostering better environments, and providing richer experiences, we can change the outputs. We can shape better citizens, more knowledgeable individuals, and a more enlightened society. The blank slate is not just a description of the mind, it is an optimistic declaration of human potential. It tells us that we are not prisoners of our ancestry or some preordained destiny. We are, in large part, the authors of our own mental worlds, and society provides the ink and the pen. If the mind begins as a blank slate, how does it become filled with the complex tapestry of thoughts, ideas, and beliefs that we all possess? Locke's answer is simple: experience. This is the core of his philosophy of empiricism, the theory that all knowledge is ultimately derived from sensory experience. He proposed that our minds have two primary windows to the world through which all information flows. The first is sensation, where our senses, sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, gather raw data from the external environment. When you see the bright red color of a strawberry or feel the rough texture of its skin, your mind is receiving simple ideas directly from the world through sensation. The second source of our ideas is reflection, which is the mind's ability to observe its own internal operations. This is like an inner sense. After the mind has collected a stock of simple ideas from sensation, it can start to work with them. It can think, doubt, believe, reason, and will. When you remember the taste of the strawberry from yesterday, or when you combine the idea of red and sweet to form an expectation of how a strawberry will taste, you are engaging in reflection. This internal process allows us to generate more complex ideas. For example, the mind combines the simple ideas of shape, sweetness, and redness to form the complex idea of a strawberry. Let's trace how a complex idea like justice might be formed. A child does not have an innate concept of justice. First, through sensation, the child experiences events. They might see one person take a toy from another, causing sadness, sensation. They might hear a parent say, "That's not fair," sensation. Later, they might see the toy returned and observe the resulting happiness, sensation. Through reflection, the mind begins to process these experiences. It compares the actions, notes the outcomes, and perceives the principles being applied by others. It combines ideas of fairness, rules, property, and consequences to build, piece by piece, a complex understanding of what justice means. This model of the mind as an information processing machine built from the ground up was revolutionary. It demystified human knowledge. Instead of being a magical or divine gift, knowledge was a natural product of the mind's interaction with the world. It suggested that education is not about awakening pre-existing truths, but about providing the right kinds of experiences in the right order. To teach a child about the world, you must first let them see it, touch it, and hear it. Only then can they reflect upon those experiences to build a robust and accurate model of reality. Locke's Empiricism provided a practical guide for how to build a mind. Just as Locke believed individuals were not born with innate ideas, he argued that societies were not built on the innate authority of kings. He fiercely rejected the doctrine of the divine right of kings, which held that a monarch's power came directly from God and could not be questioned. Locke turned this idea on its head. He proposed that the true and legitimate source of political power comes not from above, but from below, from the consent of the governed. A government, in his view, is only legitimate if the people it rules have willingly agreed to be governed by it. This was a radical shift, placing the power squarely in the hands of the populace. To explain this, Locke asks us to imagine a state of nature. This is a hypothetical condition before any governments existed. In this state, all people are free and equal. They are governed only by a natural law, which reason tells us dictates that no one should harm another in their life, health, liberty, or possessions. However, this state of nature, while free, is also inconvenient and unstable. Without a common judge, disputes can easily escalate into conflicts, and individuals have to enforce their own rights, which is often difficult and dangerous. There is no police force to call, no court to appeal to. Your safety and property are only as secure as your own strength to defend them. To escape these insecurities, rational individuals would voluntarily come together to form a political society. They enter into a social contract. This is not a physical document that everyone signs, but a rational agreement. People agree to give up some of their absolute freedom, specifically the freedom to personally enforce the law of nature and hand that power over to a government. In exchange, the government takes on the responsibility of protecting the natural rights of its citizens. Its primary job is to create and enforce laws that secure the life, liberty, and property of everyone under its rule. The government is essentially a hired employee tasked with a very specific job. Crucially, this contract is a two-way street. The people consent to obey the government, but only as long as the government upholds its end of the bargain. If a government becomes tyrannical, if it starts to violate the natural rights it was created to protect, it breaks the social contract. For instance, if it seizes property without justification or imprisons citizens without cause, it is no longer legitimate. In such cases, Locke argued, the people have not just a right, but a duty to alter or abolish that government and create a new one. This idea of a right to revolution was perhaps his most explosive, providing a powerful justification for challenging absolute and unjust power. The tremors from John Locke's philosophical earthquake continue to shape the bedrock of modern civilization, particularly in the realms of politics and education. His ideas were not merely abstract theories. They were practical blueprints for building a fairer and more rational world. The most direct and powerful evidence of his influence can be seen in the founding documents of the United States. When Thomas Jefferson wrote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness," he was channeling Locke's philosophy directly. The entire American experiment is a testament to Locke's vision of a government built on consent and dedicated to protecting natural rights. This influence extends far beyond a single nation. The principles of modern liberal democracy, the belief in individual rights, government by consent, and the rule of law are all deeply rooted in Lockean thought. Every time you vote in an election, you are participating in the process of giving consent to your government. Every time you rely on the law to protect your property or express a dissenting opinion without fear of imprisonment, you are enjoying the fruits of a political system Locke helped to imagine. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted by the United Nations, echoes Locke's insistence that every individual possesses fundamental rights simply by virtue of being human, not as a gift from any state. In the field of education, Locke's empiricism dismantled the old model of rote memorization and authoritarian instruction. If the mind is a blank slate shaped by experience, then education must be an experiential process. This led to a new focus on child-centered learning, where the goal is to provide children with a rich environment of sensory experiences that allows them to discover knowledge for themselves. The modern emphasis on hands-on science experiments, field trips, and learning through play can all be traced back to Locke's insight that we learn best by doing, seeing, and reflecting. He advocated for a curriculum that was practical and designed to cultivate reason and virtue, not just to fill a child's head with abstract facts. Today, in an age of debates about human nature, governance, and individual freedoms, Locke's ideas remain as relevant as ever. They provide a powerful framework for arguing against all forms of tyranny and for advocating for systems that respect individual dignity and autonomy. His theories remind us that governments are not our masters, but our servants, and that their power is a trust granted by the people which can be revoked. They also offer an optimistic vision of human potential, suggesting that through better education and more just societies, we can continuously write a better story for humanity on the once blank slates of future generations. Locke gave us the intellectual tools to be the architects of our own minds and our own societies.